On Wednesday, the 8th of October, the Department of Labor and Gender Affairs engaged in a high-level policy discussion with the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, on the findings and recommendations that emerged from St. Lucia's Country Gender Assessment. According to Nana Hesse Payne, the lead gender expert for the Country Gender Assessment, over the course of the 2 days prior to the policy dialogue, stakeholder consultations were held in order to review the findings of the Country Gender Assessment and to determine to what extent stakeholders view the statistics as consistent with their everyday realities.
For the past 2 days, we have been meeting with stakeholders. Yesterday, we met with technical stakeholders to validate the document, where we reviewed line by line the findings of the document. Today, we are having a high-level policy discussion with the PS and technical officers from the various ministries, and we'll be having another discussion with the minister later on. The whole purpose is for us to share the findings with the policymakers and the technical officers to get from them their view as to why the data that exists in St. Lucia is presenting the inequality that we saw and the recommendations that we have going forward on how to bridge the gap.
Janie Joseph, Director of the Division of Gender Affairs, describes the Country Gender Assessment as a pool of data that would otherwise be found in reports like the Voluntary National Review, St. Lucia's Beijing Plus 30 report, and sex disaggregated data emerging from the Ministry of Education.
The Country Gender Assessment, it opens up so much for us to be able to examine the gaps that do exist where gender equality is concerned. Over the years, we've seen a leap, in the last 30 years in particular, we've seen a leap in what obtained for men and women, what roles they performed, and how they were able to contribute to national development. Over the years, we've seen a change, and that change is reflected in the data that's being collected for various reports and so on. And so the Country Gender Assessment is one of the lead instruments that really show the movement that we're seeing, but that also highlight the gaps that still exist.
And for Mala Jacobs, the Caribbean Development Bank's gender specialist, indicated that the CDB develops country gender assessments in order to coordinate developments within the priority sectors that the CDB offers lending towards. These priority sectors include, but are not limited to, education, infrastructure, health, and climate.
The Caribbean Development Bank sees the country gender assessments as very critical and vital analytical tools that help to inform the work that we do. This is the second round of country gender assessments that we have invested in, and St. Lucia is one of the 4 beneficiary countries who we are currently working with to produce these reports. The country gender assessments are very important documents because they provide the analytical and evidence base that we need to understand the baseline information as it relates to gender equality across a number of key priority sectors that the bank operates in.
Some of the findings of the country gender assessment were a prevalence of gender-based violence, high concentration of women and female-headed households in poverty, higher incidence of male students not completing their education than their female counterparts, and sex segregation in employment which favors men in terms of income. The assessment also found significant progress in gender mainstreaming through the placement of gender focal points in key government ministries and in the increase of the Division of Gender Affairs' budget. For Choice News Now, I am Sienna Dalso.